It's April 5th, 2023. I am at the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. Where Vice President Kamala Harris participated in a special event, a moderated conversation with the director of the museum, Kevin Young. The vice president in the conversation reflected on a recent trip to Ghana, Tanzania, and Zambia, a week-long trip to Africa. She just returned with the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, from those three countries. In the conversation, the vice president reflected on what she saw, spoke about the ingenuity, the creativity that she discovered, that she's known, but being on the ground firsthand what is going on the continent, how the youth are innovating, creating technology and other innovations that are being replicated across the continent as well as around the world, and how what is coming out, innovation, the creativities that are coming out of the continent in terms of technology, in terms of music, in terms of film, are also not just being replicated across the world. The influence that they're having, influence such as drone that are delivering healthcare products that has been developed in Rwanda, for example, that are delivering emergency healthcare to remote location, and how that has been replicated in the United States and are being used by companies right now. As we know, M-Pesa started, the fintech started in Kenya, M-Pesa, and it was way ahead before Apple Pay and even PayPal. She also talked about a trip to the Cape Coast Castle. She said it was a very, very emotional tour for her, being on the ground and hearing the story of Africans that were taken from their home and placed in the dungeon, women that were raped, and their children taken from them right after birth because the mother would be sold into slavery, and how they were sent into the world, and how he has helped created such as in America. And she talked about how what is going on in the United States right now, how those history that they are attempt to erase those history, and the importance of that history, why it must not be erased, why we must not forget those things that have happened in the past. In a remark, the vice president reflected, and she urged those that were in the audience to rethink how they engage with the continent, to reframe how they engage not with the continent and also with the diaspora, with the African diaspora. While the vice president was in Ghana, she announced over $8 billion investment, public-private partnership fund that will go towards climate adaptation, and $1 billion that will go towards empowering women on the continent through digital technology and also through agriculture, farming to support small farmers. She urged everyone to rethink how they engage and think about the continent. Some of the people that I spoke with today off camera said, listening to our remark and what they saw during our trip to Africa, they are very, very optimistic. And they also, one lady told me that she has become a spokesperson for Africa. Just hearing how she talked about the impact of what she saw on the continent and how he has influenced her overall.
Encourage everyone to really make sure you understand, and I don't mean you, but just we understand what's happening on that continent. It is so exciting. For example, there is right now technology that originated on the continent that they've used drones and drone technology to deliver critical medical supplies in a fraction of the time it otherwise was taking. And that technology that was created on the continent is being replicated by different countries on the continent and right here in the United States. Technology that was created there is being used here. Not to mention, if you look at the range, Afro beats. And I hope y'all have seen my Spotify list. But because we didn't even talk about that. We went to a studio. It's called Vibrate Studio. And these, I mean, talented, incredible, there it is. So, and there's Cheryl and Idris, and we were all hanging out. And that's it, and then you go in, and that's the woman who actually runs it. And it's a studio, and so what she's done is created, so it's also a community center. And it's also a skate park, so it's actually, skateboarding is there too. And she's created this community center, and obviously so much about technology helps people, you know, they just go, you can go on YouTube and learn how to play an instrument. So I met musicians there who were self-taught because of technology. And they're doing incredible work that is, of course, influencing the world in terms of not only technology and science, but also in terms of culture, in terms of entertainment, in terms of music. It's all happening there. And so my feeling about the trip was whatever we were able to do with us all being there together, because we were all there together, to highlight, and maybe for some who didn't know, now you know, what is happening on that continent, and reordering and repositioning, or at least thinking about the next era in this relationship. And it is about a relationship that is based on the optimism and the excitement that we should all have about what is happening there, how it will affect us here, but also based on the intertwined history, based on the demographics I mentioned at the beginning. Why we must think of it as an imperative to engage as partners in investing in the future of the globe, and doing that by understanding the connection to that and the continent of Africa.
Amen. Did you have any last words you wanted to leave us with?
I want to encourage us all, like I said, to just keep on. I mean, the diaspora is phenomenal. One of the things that we have done also, coming out of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, and you hosted us here for so much of that, where I stood on this very stage with the President of Ghana for the Yali meeting that we had, the Young African Leaders Initiative. Right. So let us continue to use our voices in the context of the diaspora, in the context of having any concern about the role of the United States of America in terms of our own, much less global, security and prosperity. Let us have an interest in uplifting it. If we have any level of excitement at all about the future and what that could look like based on what we do right now. That's what I would ask that we all take away from this moment and from our level of interest and exploration about all of these in terms of the potential. It is great. And I'm very excited, and so we're just going to keep, just doing this work every day. I had a bunch of meetings today about what we're doing by way of follow-up, and I'm very excited about it, and thank you for hosting us again for this conversation.
Thank you, Vice President.
Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause.